Hey guys, so we're here today talking about houseplants, and I have a houseplant expert with me, Ariel. She's also a horticulture agent, and today she brought some great tips about watering houseplants.
Thanks for having me today, Cassie. So today I just really wanted to talk about, in winter we kind of garden inside versus outside and how to water houseplants, because I'm sure you get a lot of these questions too. And it seems like all the questions that come into our office with houseplants, people have been overwatering their houseplants. Sometimes underwatering, but typically it's always overwatering. So when I talk to people about their houseplants, one thing I really like to say is to first pay attention when you buy the plant. On the tag, it'll say how much water it needs, how much light it needs. So hold on to that tag or make sure that you know that plant's needs before you get rid of it. The next thing I really like people to do is to put the plant in the right spot in your house. So you don't want to buy a plant for a spot in your house. You want to find that spot that you have and then have the plant appropriate for that area, rather than trying to sort of find an area for a plant that you thought was really cute. So when you're grouping plants, you want to group them by water needs. Something like this Pothos is going to need to be watered probably once every week. So you would want to put that in your kitchen or in your bathroom, somewhere where you'll have access to water and where you're going to see it. One of the best things about Pothos is that it actually droops a little bit when it needs water, and it doesn't stress out the plant. So once you see that drooping, you know that it's time to water, and you are less likely to overwater it by waiting for it to droop like that. Sansevieria, the snake plant, really does not need water. It's actually better to be ignored. So I like to put those in a spare bedroom or an office or somewhere that you're not going to go very much. And unlike the Pothos, it's not going to tell you when it needs to be watered. So you wait and you wait and you wait, and when you think it needs to be watered, you wait a little more. And you can just kind of put your finger down and see if there's any moisture in the soil, but you want to make sure that it dries out completely in between any waterings. And then something like an African violet is going to be in between. It kind of needs a moderate amount of water. So maybe putting that in a bedroom or a living room, somewhere where you're going to see it, but you're not going to be tempted to water it regularly, is the best spot for that.
Mm-hmm. And would all these plants be watered the same way?
So a lot of houseplants can be watered the same way. The one thing with the African violet that you want to watch out for is not to water overhead. So if you have something like this style of a watering jug, which a lot of us use on our outdoor plants, that has this sort of sprinkler head on it, if you're watering your African violet like that, it's going to be very unhappy.
Right.
That's actually how you get some of these brown spots that you see on the leaves sometimes. It's from water, and specifically cold water overhead. The best thing for houseplants is something much smaller, something that has a small spout like this. It also doesn't hold a lot of water. If you fill up something like this, you're going to be tempted to water the Sansevieria every time because you feel like you need to use that water. But if you have something much smaller, you'll be able to get in between these small leaves and stems and water just the soil, which is how most of our houseplants really prefer to be watered.
So if you're a little scared of houseplants and you think you have a brown thumb, that's okay. We're going to tell you 3 really easy plants to start with, and they're almost impossible to kill. So if you're out in the store, try to pick up these ones first. This one's really pretty. It's very upright, and it makes a great focal point. It's called Sansevieria, or another name for it is snake plant. It's a really pretty one for your living room or dining room, anywhere in your home. Another really easy one is called English ivy, and it's a really pretty it trails down the side of pots, and it's just really easy maintenance.
My personal favorite for the easiest plant is almost anything in the philodendron family, specifically Pothos. So you saw the Pothos we had earlier just had a little bit of white. This one has a lot of white and green. The one I have in my office is actually kind of bright yellow. People think it's sick, but that's the color it's supposed to be. So it comes in a lot of fun colors. It trails, which is great for on top of a bookcase or on top of your desk. And the best part is that if it gets too long, you can cut it and stick it in a vase of water and propagate it for more.
So another tip when you're trying to water your plants and you want to know if it needs some water is just to kind of lift up the pot. If it feels really light, it probably needs a drink. This is a pretty small container, so we water it pretty often. When you're giving it a drink, you want to make sure your container has drainage holes in the bottom first. So this one definitely has a lot of holes in the bottom. And then when we're giving it some water, we want to water it until the excess water comes out the bottom of the holes. And we have these nice little trays in the bottom, and they're going to collect the excess water. And so that's really nice. That way you're not making a mess on your dining room table or wherever your houseplant is. And then another tip is that you don't want the water, your plant sitting in that excess water. So wait about 30 minutes for all the water to drain, and then go ahead and get rid of this excess in the bottom. That way your plant isn't sitting in the water and going to rot the roots.
One final consideration when you're thinking about your inside house plants is the tray that you put them in. As Cassie said earlier, you want to make sure to have a tray below your house plants so that you don't have water everywhere. If you use a nice ceramic or sometimes even glass tray like this, it will hold all the water, but sometimes that water can seep through it because it is a porous substance. So if you have it on something wooden or a nice surface that you don't want to get wet, put a coaster or something else underneath it just to elevate it to make sure that that moisture doesn't get down to the wood. If instead you'd like to use a plastic tray, which a lot of us have, you're not going to have the same perspiration problems that you have with the porous surface. What you are going to get, as you can see with this one, after some years of sun and water and use, is the plastic may become brittle and you may get cracking. So just watch and make sure there's no holes in the bottom so that none of that water leaks out.
So houseplants are really fun to have inside in your home or office when it's really cold or even snowing outside to really brighten up the winter.
Houseplants actually do a lot of really wonderful things for us. They make us happy. They can actually decrease employee sick time if you have houseplants in your office. They encourage time reflection, and they get rid of a lot of molds and allergens in the air. So there's really no reason not to have simple, easy houseplants and to take care of them.